Before we get started, there's a couple of things I want to address. First thing, I know about the Impact Wrestling going to Australia. That will be happening in June. So we will be seeing shows in Australia. I can't remember what part of Australia. Might be Sydney. I could be wrong. So you have to, guys, well, I'll flash it in front of my face if I got the image of them going. But they're going to Australia in June, which is great. You see AEW going to UK. Now you're seeing Impact Wrestling going to Australia. Good on them. Second, this is very important. That makes me very happy for what I've seen. I didn't see all of his video, but I saw enough. JD's partner, Jesse. Yes. Chicago Smart. I believe he called himself Chicago Smart. Pretty much, he did a review of Impact Wrestling. He got big numbers. He got like over 2,300 people watching him for reviewing Impact. Good. I'm happy. Now, I'm sure some people can say, dude, are you actually going to suggest us to go and watch him? Yes. You don't need to always watch me. If you like my content, I'm glad. But if you like Jesse's content, great. It's good to see more people doing Impact Wrestling other than Fightful.com or on YouTube. I don't think I'll leave the connection of where he is, but I will leave the name of his YouTube channel below, and you guys just put it through the search and find it. And look for his live stream, because just videos is done. He's been doing live streams, so watch him there. And see his point of view on it. I don't know if he's going to do what I do. Maybe he may do way better than me. Maybe he not. Everyone does something different. So I thought I should tell you that before we get to Impact Wrestling. Opening is, I gotta say, the best match. Now, I've been very worried about Marsha Slamovich. What they were going to do with her. You guys know how I felt about Marsha. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When she was brought in, they didn't book her correctly. Yes, she was a monster. Literally killing independent wrestlers from outside Impact when they should have brought them in for the tag division as well. But they let her do that, and since then, she has not accomplished anything. She's been a monster that can't get it done in the clinch. So now we get a match between her and Killer Kelly, which they advertised last week, not yesterday. This, to me, was a damn good match, showing how great Marsha Slamovich is. But my girl, which I said I really like Killer Kelly. I thought when they brought her in, they booked her correctly. They gave her great vignettes. She was doing very well, but then she started to slide down because they really didn't have anything for her to do. But she's a very good wrestler. She has a good stick. Having all red, I know not everyone likes the red color because that can hurt your eyes. But I'm telling you, she just has something. And their match indicates how good Killer Kelly is. And Marsha. I've always thought that Marsha was a good wrestler, but she did tank a little quick. And I'm still sticking to that. She is a good wrestler, but she does tend to tank at a certain part of the match. Maybe near the middle, you can see that she begins to lose a lot of strength. And that's the thing that a wrestler needs to be able to maintain to a certain extent. No one's perfect. Some can keep it just near the end of the match, or maybe halfway after the halfway point. So with Marsha, it's like she nears half or maybe slightly past half, and you can see her begin to really tank. But Killer Kelly did pretty well, and I'm not saying she was perfect either. But this match was a good opener. Actually, it was a great opener for me personally. It's good to see when they use women in the right, in this case, the knockouts in the right position. Not because you just want to get the women out and just do it. But no, like with the cruiserweights, you pick the right people who are great cruiserweights to go and open the show to hype the crowds. In Chicago, they enjoyed that damn match. So, next, we had the returning Nick Aldis versus Sheldon Jean. Now, Sheldon Jean, I didn't say this in the last couple of videos, but he did break Joe Henry's nose, which he did address. And he spoke about what happened with the match I will be talking about in a moment or two. But I just need to say it because I know I didn't say it. That's my mistake. I've forgotten that he did break his nose. Now, this is 6 years in the making. whether you like Nick Aldis or not, and I know there's going to be people below that says, I can't stand Nick. Nick is nothing but a has-been. He's nothing. He's not even good at Magnus anymore. Look, not every wrestler is going to meet everybody's expectation, but at least he will give a different dynamic. When he was the gold standard of NWA, he made something out of a near 1,200-day run. That's nearly 3 years. Guys, that's longer than Roman Reigns right now. Roman hasn't even reached 1,000 yet. And he did almost 1,200 days as NWA World Heavyweight Champion. If they don't try and top Nick Aldis when Roman Reigns drops it, no matter what anybody says, they say Roman Reigns is the longest running champion in history. I'll say, yeah, for WWE, but he ain't the longest. The one that's in recent history is Nick Aldis of NWA. And they say, who is he? Who ran longer than Roman Reigns? So whatever you like, take it. Take that. Suck it. Suck it. I'm sorry. I had to do it. I don't usually do it. But you know what? I had to. Was this a good match? It was okay. And we get Kenny King as his next opponent because Kenny's trying to make it clear. One, he was telling Sheldon Gene that he needs to not let Nick Aldis run over him, that he's got to show what he is. And this is just trying to make it that Kenny King doesn't have to do any lifting. You know how Kenny King is. He may be the king, a king that likes to not do any work when it's necessary. He'll do work when he's forced into it. But was it a good match? Yes. Gene is not a bad wrestler. And when it comes to Nick is not a bad wrestler either. The thing that gets me is that I wish he had come in sooner than now. That I'd rather have seen him work with a Bully Ray than a Tommy Dreamer. Not saying that they had a bad matches, but when he was messing with Mickie James, who would have been better? Was it Tommy Dreamer or was it Nick Aldis? You guys tell me below. You'd rather probably see Nick Aldis mess with a Bully Ray because he's messing with his wife, the woman that birthed his son, Donovan. And I think that would have been better. That's just me. You tell me below. Nick won, and now they're slowly building into the match, which will happen Under Siege. It will happen. Kenny King will be going against Nick Aldis. The question is, what are they going to do within the next 2 weeks? Are they going to have any banter between each other? Will Nick get attacked by Kenny? Will Kenny attack Nick? There's going to be the question. You guys, tell me what you think. Next, we get DK versus the Helping Hands of Skylar and Hunch. Now, no Bully Ray. He's not there right now. Either he's finished what he's done, he's taking a break and doing whatever he's doing now. But essentially, he's not there. So the Helping Hands, well, I'm saying the Helping Hands. I know they're called the Good Hands. But the Helping Hands that helped a little Bully Ray and helped to try and bring a little bit of the fans there in Chicago and make them a little pissed off, saying pretty much their favorite baseball team is nothing but crap, which pissed off a little bit of Matthew Rainwall. I'm at least I'll say it was okay. It wasn't like it was done great. Let's make it clear. Skylar, he's never really had a lot of practice on the Impact Zone, maybe BTI. But the Impact Zone, you don't see him talk often. I'm not saying he's a bad talker, but he tried to piss off the fans, which was okay. It did an okay job. He is not a super great heel, but he did try to heel it up. The match itself was fine. I still wish either one of those two won the damn title of the X Division, either Black Taurus or Crazy Steve. Black Taurus, I believe, should win it more than anybody else. Well, I'll take that back. There's somebody else, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But we get a little surprise because guess what? Brian Myers comes out, messes with Steve. Steve pretty much gets pissed, tries to grab him, and then gets nailed, I believe, a little afterward. And the Good Hands win. But then when they go to the back, they go in the back with Brian Myers, which Moose confronts him. What the hell are you doing? What are we? He says, we're fine. We're still a tag team. And he said, look, one of us is getting a shot at getting a number one contendership. We can be tag champs, and one of us can be a heavyweight champ. He says, I'm not saying anything about that, but I want to help the future. And that's where Hunch and Skylar was right there. And he says, You need to get your priorities straight. And that was Moose walking off. And seeing that it was Haunch said, I'm glad to be learning something from one of the greatest, particularly one who had the learning tree, basically. I'm going like, really? The learning tree wasn't a bad stick, but it wasn't that great. But it was okayish. I'm just saying, for me personally, other people probably liked it. Other people probably hated it. It was like a little fuzzy, but it wasn't totally bad because VCK was there. It wasn't that bad. And Ziggy Dice was there, which kind of leads me into the next match. I'm kind of jumping around. We got Dirty Dango versus Johnny Swing. There's a friend of mine that I believe he's an Aussie. And I'm sure I believe you're an Aussie. You know who you are, my friend. But if you are an Aussie, I never asked, but if you are an Aussie, you got to be happy knowing the Impact is going to Australia. If you're not, but you're somewhere in Europe, I hope there's some way you can see it if you ever have the chance. But seeing, I know you're so happy right now knowing Johnny Swing was on the screen with Ziggy Dice, which I think they must have made up in BTI. I'm sure of it. There's no way they made up on the last Impact Zone because Swinger was sick of it. He was done. He didn't want nothing to do with him. So it had to happen in BTI. But let's make this clear. For me personally, no, I can't be that way. If I'm being objective, who is the better comedian between the two of Johnny Swinger and Dirty Dango? If you go by the two companies, and I'm being honest here, I know people love Johnny. I still love Johnny. Wrestle House 2 was damn funny, yes. Johnny Swinger is a funny comedian, yes. But you got to say which one was better done. With which tag team. In other words, you got Breezango and you got Dice Swinger. Which group has been better? I'm sorry. Breezango has been a better one. When they won SmackDown, 2015, 16, maybe 17? Before they got broken up, before Tyler Breeze went back to NXT because he had nothing else better to do and he was not happy. They were the best tag team comedic duo. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with Dice. There's nothing wrong with Swinger. They've been doing it very well. They make you laugh. There's nothing against it. But if you gotta compare who had better segments, who had better wrestling, who made everyone laugh and was working with one of the best other teams that also did, to a certain extent, comedic work, which was the New Day. I could say the Varsity Villains, but it was more New Day. Breezango, and that's it. I'm sorry. I gotta be honest. That's just it. I did love them a lot, and I do still love Dice and Swinger, but I got to say they were better. They just were better. They had more segments, they had more matches, and people were chanting for them way more than Swinger and Dice. And particularly, they were on TV more, not BTI. They were on SmackDown. So, my friend, you know, you got to understand it. I know you're not happy about it, but I'm just being honest. Swinger wasn't good as Dango. I'm sorry. It was just because of how they booked him. Like I've been telling you how they've been booking. So, what do we get in this match? We got a good match that didn't last very long. Swinger lost, and I believe this is the 6th loss. 0 wins, 6 loss. Still not getting to the road of 50 to get a title shot. And to be honest, if that happened, I think he'd get his head taken off by Macklin, which I will start going to now. Macklin versus Rhino. Now, before we got started, we had, how can I say this? Was this a good segment when it came to Champagne? I can't believe I'm calling him Champagne Singh. Rod Singh. Champagne Singh. That's not better than Happy Corbin. Champagne Singh. It's not as good as Happy Corbin, but I will call him Raj. Raj and Shira have been fired from Macklin because they allowed Rhino to get the shot. Because Rhino and him got a match. And they wanted to make up for what happened, so before the match happened, Heath gets taken out. He gets his ass taken out by Shira and Raj. They just destroy him. So we get the match. No interference. It is a clean match between Macklin and Rhino. And the Mac attack. I know. You're going to say, wait, that's Willie Mac stuff. Yeah, I know. But we are dealing with Steve Macklin. He attacked him after the match was over. Messed up his knee, his left knee. I'm just saying it. I'm not making it the title. It is just this time it's a Mac attack. Steve Macklin attacked. I believe he's in my face. With a chair at the end. Destroys him. Annihilates him. The only other person that night that did even more annihilating was Killer Kelly, who choked out Marsha Sandwich. I know I didn't say it earlier. To be honest, I forgot. But she did choke her out after Marsha did win the match. She choked her ass out. And she was done. But seeing that he took out Rhino, that is the type of attitude Steve Macklin would use. There's just no way around it. There's no qualms, ifs, or buts about it. That is how Macklin attacks. That's how Macklin destroys. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The design. They had their moment to talk. The design was angry. The design was angry at Sammy for betraying them where I betray. I'm sorry. I wanted Sammy to take over the design and transition Diener to a Eric Young where he gets taken out and Sammy becomes the new design, just like how Diener was taking out a Eric Young. That's how I feel would be better. But this is what they did. And they talked about how he betrayed them, how they wiped him out, and now how he's been trying to find people, going back to Rich Swann, trying to find anybody, but nobody's there. And you see them pull back. I believe I got a shot of it. You see them pull back, and when they did, and you see the violent army, 2 members were not violent. 2 members were turncoats because there was Sammy and Rich Swann, which took out most of the design. And here's the thing. I want Rick and Sammy to work together. I have no problem with it. In fact, I really originally, if anybody knows me, back around 2020 or 2021, right around then when Eric Young was champion, when you saw Eric Young as champ and Rich Swann trying to come back after he did ankle surgery, I wanted Rich to go up against Sammy for that damn title. That's what I wanted. That's what I felt would have been better. But we didn't get that. So now he's working with him again, which is fine. There's no problem with that. I'm just kind of hoping that one day you will have a Rich Swann on one side, a Sami Callihan on another, and they're both going after the World Heavyweight Championship, where that should be. The culminating of their original story, where they both known each other for years. They both were wrestlers that lost their families. Rich lost his family, lost his father. And Sammy lost his mother and father. They both passed away. Rich's dad was killed. They both knew each other for years. Rich lived and slept on Sammy's floor. He knew his family before they died. They're like family. And I really want to see it culminated where Rich is right next to Sammy. And this time, there's no hatred. They both have a shot at getting the titles. They're both still thinking each other as family. But in the end, they're saying, Sammy, you know, I love you. I love you. But let's make this honest. Both will want this championship. Let's not cheat. Come on, I know you. But if you really want to make this clear, me and you always be family. But let's really make this real something. Let's make this real. Let's make it something. That's what I want. Let's move on. Now. Let me give it to you like this. Seeing them show PCO coming out of the ambulance after Rhino had been decimated, because I have to do this. It's good. They're setting up for their match. But I got a big question. Who's next? I'm really wondering who is Macklin going to go after next. Because all this is not ready yet. So I'm just posing this to you. Final match. If I'm forgetting anything, I'm sorry. We got the Coven versus Grace and versus Perazo. Now, We all know there was no way they were going to win because what's about to happen on the siege in 2 weeks. They're just not going to let them be champions. And the Coven hasn't been doing too badly. This is where I have a problem, personally for me. The match was fine. I liked it. It was a good match. In the end, the Coven won. And let's make this clear. Naomi did come. Well, I'm saying Naomi. I got to remember not to say Naomi to Trinity. Trin, or Trinity, came out once the Coven won the match and started beating down on Grace. She did save a Jordan Grace's butt. She came out, kicked her ass, no problem. But here's the problem for me personally. They got a great match. I enjoyed the match. It was hard-hitting. It was a good match. But the problem is there's so few women in the division to make it work. This is what I've been saying for a while. Please, Impact Wrestling, I'm pleading with you. Bring in women to fill in the damn division. Knowing that you have so few women that can work in the tag division. And the problem here is that if we were having like about 20 women, we would have enough women, 10 women for the tag division and 10 women for the regular knockouts division. There wouldn't be a problem. You could intermingle them and there wouldn't be a problem. We got 20 women, but you don't. And the problem here is they need to bring women from the outside to job once in a while for some of the teams they got. And there's the problem. Look, we didn't see Gazelle Shaw. We didn't see Savannah Evans. We didn't see Tasha Steeles. We haven't seen them. We didn't see Alicia. We haven't seen Terra Rising since she got beat by Jody Threat. You got a good amount of women, but not for the tag division. They're not tag division women. They're regular women. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You have to bring in more women that's going to work with the Coven. That's going to work with the Death Dolls. That's going to work with Savannah Evans and Gazelle Shaw. You must bring more women in so you can show them more. You rarely show the women in the tag, and it's not enough. It feels empty still. This is what happened in 2020 when you had to use all the women to double in the same two divisions. And it looks so small and restricted. Back then it was understandable. It was the pandemic. They couldn't bring anybody in. But we're talking about 2023 now. Please, Impact, bring in more women just to film a couple of days of filming. Bring in like 10 women. Pair them up. They don't have to be in a tournament. Just let them go through the tag division. You have months of content. You just got to splice it in. Remember, they can splice stuff in after filming. What do I do here? If I have to do a 30-minute thing, I splice them together. That's the reason why you see me click it like that. It's not that hard. Come on. Come on. You can't tell me you can't bring in a couple of women for a day or two and just devote knockouts tag team wrestling. It doesn't have to be a tournament. Just to fill in the content for the next couple of weeks. Just so you'll have something. Come on. This was good matches and a good ending. When it came to Trinity, she closed the show. Everybody was happy seeing her because she came out to defend Jordan Grace. And Deonna Purrazzo was taken out before then. So you don't have to worry about the champ intermingling with someone new. And the challenger did intermingle with the one who just came in. No problem. We know eventually Jordan Grace is going to deal with Trinity. It's going to happen. She's going to go through the roster and everybody, including probably a returning Mickie James once she recovers from her cracked rib. So that's what it comes down to. But this is just me. I hope you enjoy my Impact review. Please give me a comment below. I will leave the name of Jesse's channel below, but I won't leave a connection. If you guys want, you know what? I'll leave a connection. It don't matter to me. As long as people like Impact, I'll say something. Even if he doesn't care. If he finds out what, this guy's doing it, what? He's a little guy. Why is he doing this? And you say, well, he did it because he's a nice guy. And you're watching Impact. You say, oh, cool. That's me. Oh, and if just in case Jesse sees this, how you doing, dude? Hope you get a good amount of numbers in your live stream. Peace.